everyone, it's Andrea from AndreaTooley.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am still at my friend Liz's house. I'm here in Chicago interviewing for a fellowship, and if you watch my last video, which I will link, where I did a huge kind of how I study overview, I talked about being here in Chicago at my friend Liz's house and her amazing periodic table of elements. It's like a, what is that called? A tapestry. A tapestry, really, is what it is. Anyways, I wanted to take this opportunity because I still have an hour before I have to go to dinner to kind of answer some email questions. So I have 3 different emails that I'm going to answer right now. You guys are awesome for emailing me. I really appreciate it. And soon I'm going to do an Instagram question video as well because I'm getting a ton of Instagram messages and I never respond to Instagram messages. I'm so bad about that. I don't like typing on my phone that much. And so I'm going to try to make a YouTube video kind of answering all of those Instagram messages soon. But right now I've got 3 emails for you. So here's our first one. This email is from Ryan. And Ryan says lots of things, but basically he is a dual enrolled high school student. And this past semester, he had a really hard time. He had too many extracurricular activities and hard things going on and got 2 C+. Otherwise, he's been really successful academically, getting A's and B's and only 1 C up until this semester. And then he's really worried that this semester with the 2 C+ have really hurt his chances at medical school, even though he's still in high school, because he's dual enrolled, and so those 2 C+ will contribute to his college GPA. And so he calculated it all out, which I love. That's so great. You're so prepared, Ryan. And figured out that even if he gets all A's in the rest of college, he thinks about the highest he can bring his grade point average up is a 3.78. And his question is, do I still have a chance to get into medical school if I were to bring my GPA up to this range, along with performing well in the MCAT? Also, how negatively do you think medical schools will view these C's that I've received while I was technically still in high school, but also in college? So, Ryan, this is a great question. I think lots of people have this experience where they have one rough semester, whether that's in college or in high school. And I've talked about what to do if you get bad grades before, but I think in general, so this doesn't necessarily apply to you, Ryan, but in general, if you're a high school student, your high school grades do not affect your chances of getting into medical school for the most part. I think that if you do well in high school, it sets you up for doing better in college. And if you learn the study techniques and how you study in high school, then you're going to be better suited for college. You're going to get better grades in college, and ultimately that will make you do better in medical school or help you get into medical school. But if you were like a B, C, or C or B student in high school, that doesn't matter. It's not going to affect your chances of getting into college at all, or getting into medical school at all. And so if it's just your high school GPA, don't sweat it. Just try to figure out how you can best study, figure out how you can best learn so that you can do better in the future. However, Ryan's situation is a little different because these grades are going to affect his overall college GPA, which is a total bummer, and I'm really sorry. So one thing I would want to know is, are these 2 C+ in science classes or in non-science classes? Because medical schools will often ask for, on AMCAS, on your application for medical school, you'll have your overall GPA, but then you'll also have a science GPA. And so if those 2 classes were not science classes, then they will not affect your science GPA. And so you could have an awesome science GPA, and that would be great. So if they were in history and English, then that's better. If they were in science classes, then that's going to bring down your science GPA, which also will make things a little bit harder. But I don't think that this is going to stop you or hold you back at all, really, Ryan. I think it's great that you tried to calculate your GPA and figure out what could be the best that you would do. So much of that depends on how many credits you take, how many different science classes you take, and so there's going to be all kinds of ways to kind of finagle your GPA. And you can find little credit classes here and there that are easy to get an A that you can kind of boost your GPA, and then you're just going to want to super focus on doing well in the required classes for medical school. So biology, chemistry, physics, biochemistry, calculus, all those classes, you want to do as best as you can. So your overall GPA is one thing that medical schools look at, but they're also looking at a trend in your scores. And so if you got 2 C pluses in your high school, and then you've been getting A's and B's the rest of college, that's going to be different than if you were getting a C like every semester, no matter what. And so I think that it's not going to hold you back. I don't think that medical schools will even care about it, honestly. And it's even something that you can take time to address in your personal statement. You know, I learned about myself that I had to learn how to say no, and I had to learn what was important and how to prioritize. And I struggled when I was in high school because I overloaded my plate and I had too many things going on, and my grades suffered because of it. And that taught me X, Y, and Z, and now I've done really well in the future. And so it's always good to see that growth and how you kind of learned from your past. So I think it's totally explainable. I also don't think it matters much. And a 3.78 GPA is awesome. And so I think even if you have a 3.5 or above, you're still in the running for medical school. I mean, obviously, the better GPA you have, the better likelihood you have of getting in. But I think you're still 100% within the neighborhood, even if you're at a 3.6 or a 3.7 when it's all said and done. And then the other thing is that you still have the MCAT, and both your GPA and the MCAT really kind of go hand in hand about showing what kind of student you are. And so if you have those 2 C pluses, then the rest are A's and B's and a fantastic MCAT score, you're going to dominate. You're going to do so well. And it sounds like you already have extracurriculars and leadership and kind of all those other things that fill in the gaps. And so I think that your application will be strong academically, it'll be strong in terms of extracurriculars, and it'll be strong showing what kind of a person you are and how you kind of overcame some challenges and did really well. So I wouldn't stress about it, Ryan. I think you still have your whole future ahead of you. Don't worry, just kind of pick yourself up, brush yourself off, learn from what happened, and you're going to do great. Good luck. Okay, our next video is from Yvette. Yvette. And Yvette is 19 years old. She just finished her first semester of college, and she has realized that she does not want to go to medical school. She originally thought she wanted to do medicine, but now she's decided that medical school is not for her, both because of financial reasons and also because she doesn't want the lifestyle, the stress and kind of the academic rigors is what it sounds like. And so because she has decided that she doesn't want to go to medical school, she still wants a career in the medical field, but she doesn't want to do medical school. And so she asks, I basically realized I want to do a career in medical aspects that are high paying and not a lot of education. I was hoping you could do a video or reply some advice and information tips on where to go from here and things like that. So great question, Yvette. I think it's great that you realize that medical school is not for you. I think it's really important to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and make sure that it's the only thing you can see yourself doing. And if you can see yourself doing anything else besides medicine, then really rethink it, because it's a huge commitment. It's a huge sacrifice in your life. It's a ton of hard work, and if you are bitter and resent it, then you're not going to be a good physician for your patients. You're not going to be happy for yourself. You owe it to yourself to be happy, and so it's great to realize that medicine is not for you before you kind of get too far down the road. So your question is, what should you do in the medical field that's high paying with low education? And so, I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to say, because most high-paying careers require a lot of education, or a lot of kind of luck, or being really, really good at something. And those kinds of things are more in like the business aspect. But I think in medicine, the more education you have, the more money you're going to make. And so it's really hard to have something super high-paying without the education to back it up. However, there are lots of jobs within the medical field that make really good salary that don't require medical school. And so I know I talked about this ad nauseum, but PA school and nurse practitioner are very similar to what you would be doing as a physician, basically identical depending on what kind of specialty you want to go into, and they don't require medical school. They still do require a lot of work and a lot of education, but considerably less, because you don't have to do residency and things like that. So PA school is traditionally 2 years after you get a bachelor's degree, 2 or 3, depending on the program. And then as far as being a nurse practitioner, I have a video about a PA and a video about a nurse practitioner. I'll link both of those below. But for a nurse practitioner, you have to go to nursing school and become a registered nurse, an RN first, and then you can do an NP program. And there's some combined programs, and that's what my friend Robin did, and that's the video that I'll link below. And so that's combined, kind of getting everything all at once, and I think it's a really challenging, tough schooling, but still definitely less time than going to medical school. Okay, so I think both of those are really good options. Another option is nurse anesthetist, which also requires you to be an RN, and then you go to school to be a CRNA. And so there, you're basically practicing as an anesthesiologist, but you don't have to go to medical school and residency. There's lots of other careers in medicine, however, where I think you can still make a great salary and still be part of the healthcare team, and those are more kind of outside of the traditional medicine aspect. So I would think of like occupational therapists, speech pathologists. They make great salaries, both of those. Then there's also more doctorate programs like physical therapy or pharmacy. Those are really challenging, rigorous academics, and so it might be too much education if you're saying you don't want that much of schooling, but I think those would kind of be similar to PA or nursing. And would give you a great salary. And then also just being a regular nurse. I think that nurses make a great salary. They work super hard, but it's definitely less schooling than medical school. And so those are lots of options. And then there's all kinds of other kind of ways that you can get involved with the healthcare team, being a lab assistant, drawing blood, being a technician in all kinds of different areas. We have lots of people in the ophthalmology department who are ophthalmology technicians, and I think they have a great job. They get to work with patients all day, they get to check their vision and do all kinds of special tests, and they're so good, and they know exactly what they are doing and looking for, and they are a huge part of the healthcare team. I have no idea what their salary is. Another great one is orthoptists, which I just learned about because I just did my pediatric ophthalmology rotation, and I think an orthoptist career would be just great. So you could look into that. There's optometry school, which is also really hard, and the same amount it's 4 years. I think also dentistry, that's pretty much the same as medical school. You know, there's so many options here, but I think in terms of the amount of money that you're going to make, that I think it's generally proportional to the amount of schooling that you do. And so you're going to have to think about that. And the last thing that I'll say is that if you're going into medicine for the money, then I would consider a different career. Only because I just don't think that that's the right motivation. I think you really have to have a deep-seated passion for interacting with people, helping people, and talking about people's health and thinking about all kinds of things within the medical field. And that has to interest you. And if you're just doing it to pay the bills, then I don't think you're going to be happy day in and day out. And I think medicine is different than other fields that we can work in, because you really take on a burden of having really intimate aspects of a patient's life, and you're interacting with people in a different way than you interact with them in business or anything else. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about because I have no experience in other fields, but I just think that healthcare is a little different. And so I think that if you're going into it for the money, then go do something else. That would be my advice to you. But I hope that helps. Think you're on the right track. Just kind of have to do some soul searching and figure out what it is that you're looking for. Okay? Good luck. Okay, and our last email is from Daniela, and this email really goes along with everything that we've been talking about here. Daniela says that she has a question that's been weighing on her heart for over a year now. She thought she had decided that she wanted to be pre-med, but recently she's kind of redecided and kind of been thinking again, having second thoughts about it. And she says, for the longest time, I've been nagged by the question, would I be better off becoming a physician assistant? I know both careers are amazing opportunities, and I could honestly see myself enjoying both, but I'm wondering if maybe a more flexible lifestyle and freedom within my career outweighs my aspirations of becoming a doctor. And so Really, Daniela, I think that there's so many people who have this question. I've talked about this a lot. I've had a lot of videos where people are saying, how do I know if I should choose medicine? How do I know I want to be a doctor and not a PA or a nurse practitioner or another something else within the healthcare field? And it's really something that you have to decide for yourself. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but saying that you have to want this more than anything other career that you can think of, because it's just too much of a sacrifice, I think, to do it if you would be happy doing something else. So she asked me further on in email if I ever had these doubts and how I decided that I wanted to do medicine instead of PA. And so for me, one thing is that I knew I wanted to do ophthalmology. And although there is a role for PAs within ophthalmology, it's not quite as suitable a subspecialty for physician assistants. You know, eye surgery a lot of times is kind of a one-man job, woman job. And so there's not a lot that you would be able to do surgically as a PA. And that was the reason I was drawn to ophthalmology, was because of the surgery. And so for me, that kind of sealed the deal. I knew there wasn't any other way to get to do surgery on the eyeball. And so I had to go to medical school because that's what I wanted to do. So I think that if you think you're going to do primary care or emergency medicine, or there's a lot of fields that are really good for physician assistants or nurse practitioners. And so if you think that you might be happy in one of those fields where it would be easy to be a PA, then really think about being a PA, because it is such a great career. My husband is a PA. He loves it. He's so happy he didn't go to medical school. And, you know, I always ask Kyle, because I know you guys haven't met Kyle on YouTube, but I talk about him on my blog all the time. And he's so smart, you guys. He's so much smarter than I am. His brain, just like it works so much faster than mine does. And he never had to study in PA school. That's not true. He studied hard in PA school, but nowhere near as hard as I studied in medical school. And he was at the top of his class, and he got a 99th percentile on his PA boards, and he's just killing it. And I always ask him, you know, do you ever regret not going to medical school? You're so smart. You could have totally been a doctor. Do you ever regret not doing that? And he always, there's no hesitation, none. And he says, no way. I would not have been happy doing that at all. I would not have liked the stress. It wouldn't have been good for me. Kyle's kind of not high strung, but I think that he just wouldn't like that pressure on him all the time, and he really likes that he can ask somebody if he needs to, or I think he just likes not having to be in that physician role all the time, and that's better for him, and he's happier doing that. And so you really have to do some soul searching and think about if you're going to be happy in that role, or kind of what you want long term. And then also think about, you know, future career. Do you want to do research? Do you want to have this huge academic career, which you can definitely do as a PA, but I think it's less common. And so if you want to be this high-powered doctor who's pumping out all this research and things, then probably medical school is going to set you up better for that, because it's going to give you more classes and more experience and more connection that PA school doesn't necessarily focus on. And so there's so many different things that go into this. And I know it's a really tough decision, and ultimately you have to make it for yourself. And I think whatever you choose, you're going to have an amazing career. I think that being a PA is such a great career. I can't say enough good things about PAs. And so you really can't go wrong. But I think if you're questioning medical school, I would almost lean more towards the PA side of things. Because the other thing is that when you're a PA, you can be the most stellar PA that you want to be. And when you're working with that supervising physician, once they know you and trust you and they know how good you are, you're practicing on your own. You're doing the exact same thing that the doctor is doing. And you can have this really fantastic relationship with your doctor where they rely on you and they trust you as much as a partner. You know, you're a partner in their team. And so, I think a PA is such a great option. And definitely check out my videos I'll link below with my friend Sarah, who's a PA in plastic surgery here in Chicago, and then my friend Robin, who's now a nurse practitioner who's more interested in internal medicine and family medicine. And so think about all those things. I hope that helped you. It's such a personal decision, but those are some of the things that I would think about. And you guys in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. How would you make the decision between medical school or being a PA? And what do you think all three of these people should do? I'd love to hear your thoughts on grades in high school and your GPA in college, and what other careers in medicine if you don't want to be a physician, and how to know medical school is right for you. I think you guys out there are such a wealth of information. That's why I love YouTube. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you guys later. Bye.